There was no guard standing before the temple of Amun, no priest telling me to stay away, no law forbidding me to enter. Only a doorway. And for one long moment, it felt heavier than every mountain in Egypt. Because beyond it, men said, the gods answered questions. And I had spent my whole life trying not to ask mine. I was born where Egypt ended and the desert began. To the east, the Nile. To the west, Cyrene. To the north, the sea. To the south, nothing that wished to be found. My name is Nekhtamun, Strong of Amun. That was the name my father gave me. He said, if a man carries the name of a god, he should spend his life trying to deserve it. I spent mine learning roads, not prayers. My family guided caravans, merchants from Cyrene, officials from Egypt, pilgrims, messengers, men carrying oil, linen, wine, salt, letters, rumors, and questions. My great-grandfather once led a famous Spartan commander to the Oracle of Amun. Years later, the Greeks remembered his name, Lysander. My grandfather remembered only that he had reached the oracle and returned alive. That was how guides measured glory, not by who they led, by whether they brought them home. My father made the journey to Siwa only a handful of times. He took me once when I was a boy. I remember his back walking ahead of me, his hand lifting whenever I spoke too much, his voice soft against the wind.
The road to Siwa is like speaking to an old man. If you talk too much, you stop listening. The desert does not forgive that.
When we reached Siwa that first time, my father waited outside the temple. I asked him, "Did you ever go in?" He nodded, "No." "Why not?" He smiled.
They did not come for my questions.
I hated that answer. Even as a boy, I hated it. Men crossed deserts to ask the god. Kings did, generals did, Greeks did, Egyptians did. But my father stood outside. I promised myself that if I ever returned, I would not wait. I would go in. I would ask. Then my father died before I ever led the road alone. And for years I avoided Siwa, until Alexander came. A Macedonian officer found me near the harbour.
You are the son of Kai?
Yes.
He knew the road to Siwa.
Yes.
Did he teach you?
The honest answer would have taken too long. So I said, I remember it. That was how the greatest journey of my life began, with a half-truth. Alexander was younger than stories made him, but quieter too. He asked about wells, stars, winds, dunes. How many days? How much water? What happens if the road disappears? Questions. Always questions. Only one he never answered. Why Siwa? That night, one of Alexander's companions sat near me. not a merchant, not a storyteller. A man who had crossed Asia with him. He looked toward the king, then said quietly,
At Gordium there was an old prophecy that whoever solved the knot would become Lord of Asia.
And did he?
He did what Alexander does. He found a way.
Then why come here? The companion did not answer at once. Then he said,
Because some men are not satisfied with being promised the world. They want to know who gave it to them.
Across the fire, Alexander looked into the dark, as if he had heard us, as if he had heard everything, and chose silence. That was when I first wondered what question could make a man who had already been promised Asia cross a desert to ask again. People think the desert kills with thirst. It does. But first, it kills certainty. The certainty that you know the way. The certainty that the next dune means something. For 3 days, I listened. To wind, to stars, to the shape of sand. To memories that may have belonged to me or to my father. Then the wind changed. I felt it before I understood it. A dry turn, a wrong turn. I raised my hand, too late. The storm came like a wall. The sky vanished. The sun vanished. The road vanished. Men wrapped cloth around their faces. Camels groaned. Sand struck skin like thrown ash. Someone shouted my name. I could not see him. Someone called for water. Someone cursed the god. Someone prayed to him. And somewhere in that darkness, I remembered my father's hand rising, telling me to be silent. So I stopped shouting. I listened. But the desert gave me nothing. When the storm passed, the world had been remade. No tracks, no ridge, no familiar hollow, no sign that any man had ever crossed that place before. Every direction looked possible. Every direction looked wrong. A Macedonian came toward me, sand on his beard, fear in his eyes.
Are we lost?
No guide wants that question. No guide wants the truth. I searched the dunes, the sky, the horizon. Then, for the first time since my father died, I searched for his footsteps. Of course, they were gone. There were only mine. I looked at Alexander. He was not angry. That was worse. He was waiting, trusting me with a road I had only ever walked behind another man. I said, "Yes, we are." The words tasted like failure. Years later, men argued about what saved us. Some swore rain came when our water ran low. Others said ravens flew ahead as if sent by the god. Others spoke of serpents sliding through the sand and showing us the path. I cannot tell you. I only know this. We were lost. Then we were not. Perhaps it was luck. Perhaps it was Amun. Perhaps the desert was teaching me that no man owns a road, not even a guide. Then green. After days of sand, green feels impossible. Palms, springs, shade, life. The Oasis of Siwa. Men cheered, some laughed. Some fell to their knees. I did none of those things. I stood still, because the last time I had seen that green, my father had been walking ahead of me. The temple of Amun stood among the palms, quiet, waiting. The Greeks called him Zeus, we called him Amun. Different names, same silence. Alexander entered. Some say he asked about his father. Some say empire. Some say destiny. I do not know. I know only this. He crossed the threshold, and the rest of us waited outside, just as history has waited outside ever since. Then the waiting began. The companions whispered, then stopped. The priests moved quietly. The palms stirred. The door remained. I stared at it. My father had stood here, my great-grandfather, perhaps too. Generation after generation, we had led men to this threshold, then waited. I had always thought that made them smaller, less brave, less hungry for truth. Now, the doorway stood before me. No guard stopped me. No priest raised a hand, no law forbade me. And I had questions, so many questions. Why did my father die before teaching me the road? Had I failed him when I lost the way? Was I worthy of the name he gave me? What did men hear inside those walls that made them cross deserts? I took one step, then another. The stone beneath my feet felt cool. The doorway waited. I heard my father's voice. They did not come for my questions. I used to hate those words. Now I understood them. Then Alexander came out. Everyone searched his face. He looked the same dust, same cloak, same eyes, and yet not the same. Guides notice small things, how a man walks when he is afraid, how often he looks toward the horizon. Before Siwa, Alexander walked like a man searching. After Siwa, he no longer searched. He passed near me. For a moment, I almost asked him, "What did the gods say? Who are you now? Was the journey worth it?" But I asked only, "Did you find what you came for?" He looked at me.
Yes.
Nothing more. And somehow that answer felt true. The priests moved away. The companions followed their king. The doorway remained open. Still, no one stopped me. For one heartbeat, I could have entered. I could have become the first man in my family to cross that threshold for himself. I could have asked everything. Instead, I stepped back. Not because I was afraid of the answer, because I finally understood that the hardest thing is not finding an answer. It is finding the question worthy of the journey. Alexander crossed the desert because he carried one. I crossed it to discover I had not found mine. Perhaps that was my answer. I turned away from the temple of Amun and left the doorway behind me.